go! Don't give it up, Luffy! Don't give it up, Zoro! Don't give it up, Nami! Don't give it up! Welcome to more Fanime. What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to be doing a One Piece movie review on movie 5, The Cursed Holy Sword. This movie came out way back in 2004, right around the end of the Skypiea arc. If I'm correct, somewhere between Skypiea and Long Ring Long Land in that area, notably because the lack of Frankie in this movie. Sadly, Frankie is not involved. The newest crew member up to this point would be Robin. And I'm very happy that Robin's in the movie, for sure, being one of my absolute favorite characters in the entire series. This movie, though, Luffy, our main protagonist, kind of takes a step back out of the spotlight. And it's a surprising, exciting moment for our boy Zoro, his right-hand man. This is more of a Zoro-centric movie, which I much appreciated. And I had a really good time with this movie. Before I get into the spoilers, if you haven't seen this movie, One Piece Film 5, I highly recommend you buy it on Amazon. Buy this 3-pack here. You get 3 amazing One Piece movies, pre-time skip, pre-English dub. They didn't even dub these movies. It's so old, being way back in 2004. I still stand by the idea that they should HD remaster all 4 of these movies, give it a fresh dub, and release it on Blu-ray, because this guy will buy each and every one of them for upwards of $50. You hear that, Funimation? Come my way, baby. But today we're going to talk about The Cursed Holy Sword. I really enjoyed it. I think it was a fun time seeing Zoro take control of the narrative. The movie kicks off with us seeing this guy pick up the 7-star blade, which I guess is a cursed sword, I don't know, possessed by some type of demon in this blade. The 7-star blade, the rarest of all blades, the treasure of this specific island. I honestly cannot remember the name of this island, or even if they mentioned the name of this island. Doesn't matter. Luckily, the crew decides to stop by near this place. And they're sitting around, hanging out. Nami even brings up, have you guys heard of the 7-star sword? And Nico Robin, again in this movie, drops an info dump, rolls a history check, and gets a 20, and gives the entire crew the laydown on the cursed 7-star blade. Which kind of, gives us a little bit of narrative to what's happening. We get to see Zoro and Usopp, who are back at the ship. Usopp, this is pre-Frankie, so Usopp basically being substitute carpenter. He's shipwright of the day, fixing some damages caused by, ship piratey adventures. Zoro's upstairs taking a nap ski, because if you didn't know, Zoro stays up all night protecting the crew, so he needs some sleep during the day. Somebody throws a knife at the dude. Zoro's sitting there, and even in his slumber, he dodges. The blade goes by his face, and it's etched in it, I believe it says Zoro on it. Zoro immediately remembers this blade, grabs it, and takes off. Like, he knew immediately who this sword was from, and he follows whoever threw it. 3 Marines actually threw it, and you're just like, who are these ragtag Marines? One is a childlike man who's like the leader of these Marine soldiers, and then there's 2 other bigger boys. They really don't play much into the story except the childlike Marine. But they lead Zoro to his childhood friend. And, at first I was like, okay, I guess Zoro can have a random childhood friend we'd never heard of. That makes sense. I mean, he trained with a lot of different children, not just Kuina, who died, falling down some stairs. Which, it's sad. It's sad that he lost that friend, but apparently this friend is still alive, and Zoro's pretty happy because he thought this friend had died when they were on a ship on a mission hunting some pirates back when Zoro was a pirate hunter. Both of them, when they split off as children, made promises to each other that they would succeed at their dreams. This guy wants to wield the sword of justice, which I'm not sure is an actual sword or like a figurative sword. Like he wants to wield this sword for justice. Did not get that. Wasn't clear. Zoro, as we know, wants to be the greatest swordsman. He tells his friend, his name is Saga, by the way. Saga, my life is yours. I owe you because I left you behind and you were possibly dead back, probably a year ago before they met the Luffy and whatnot, before the whole Hill Nepo incident. Zoro then just pledges his allegiance. The rest of the crew ends up back on the ship getting chased by Drake. Not ex-Drake, just Drake, the Marine that we get to meet, I believe, at the G8 filler arc, which is pretty cool, seeing this guy chasing the Straw Hat crew. Personally, I would have loved to see Jonathan chasing the crew. That would have been such a cool moment to connect the G8 arc with this movie universe. And you see Jonathan taking the helm, my favorite filler character in all of anime. That would have been so sick. Drake is a good second. I guess what's his name? Condioriano would have been a great choice as well. But Jonathan, the strategist Marine, would have been, Vice Admiral, would have been sick. Either way, the crew gets away by launching themselves somehow, without a coup de burst, off of a ramp-like island type thing. It doesn't seem physically possible, but it's One Piece. It's fine. The crew flies over, gets away from the crew, ends up near an island. They see a lady. They're looking for Zoro. They know Zoro left near them. He's around. And they're looking for him. They see this lady and Luffy's like, maybe that lady knows where Zoro is. I don't know how she would, Luffy, but sure. Luffy's like, hey, did you see my friend? He carries 3 swords. Sometimes one's in his mouth. And she just runs away because she's like, strange pirates are asking me questions. I should leave. Luffy's like, hey, you're going to ignore me? No way, Jose. Gumu Gumu stretches his arms out, grabs the island bank, pulls himself in. Usopp tries to stop him. Both Usopp and Luffy go off on their own adventure for a while the rest of the crew, Sanji, Nami, Robin, Chopper, are looking for Zoro in the proper way. They dock the ship, they find this lady, and they're like, hey, miss, we're pirates, but we're not here to cause any trouble. She has dealt with pirates before. She's running into her tribe. They're all local tribe natives, and she's like, pirates are here, they're gonna cause shit again. I'm not sure who came to their island in the past. It would be interesting if it was somebody like Blackbeard and his crew, similar to how they went to Drum Island before the crew got there. That would have been kind of cool, actually, if they referenced that Blackbeard's crew had been there. That would have been kind of interesting if you ask me. Or even Doflamingo's crew. Anybody that we could recognize. Then the crew explains the situation. Sanji makes them food and whatnot. They're like, you know what? You guys aren't so bad. And they're just talking, realizing not all pirates are bad people. But then Zoro shows up along with those Marines that drew him in, the ragtag Marines, and they come in and start causing havoc, including Zoro. Zoro starts attacking these natives with the back of his blade, shown that he's not trying to actually hurt them physically, just knock them out, maybe give them some pretty deep bruises. If you've ever been hit really hard with a piece of metal across the chest, he's knocking these people out, and the rest of the crew are like, what is going on? Mind you, Luffy and Usopp are not here. Luffy and Usopp are lost on the island. Luffy kind of took the Zoro role. being lost, and they're running around in this cave-like system within the island, cannot find their way out, cannot find the crew. It's actually a wacky fun time, very reminiscent of like a Scooby-Doo adventure, kind of like Indiana Jones. There's a point where Luffy's running and he's laughing, and Usopp's like, what's going on? Well, I pulled this string and a giant boulder started coming, so now I'm running from it. It's hilarious. Usopp's like, why? But we get back to the crew, and Zoro's being a bad guy. Zoro's not explaining to the crew what's going on. Like, hey, my bestie, my best friend from back in the day before I met you guys, is still alive, and I already lost one, Kuina, who's gone, and I'm gonna help this one, okay? So I gotta get this fucking, what did he need? He needed 3 jewels. He needed these 3 orbs from the native old lady wizard, I don't know, what would you call her? I'm not sure. The leader of the island people. And he goes and he cuts the bag and he starts to take these orbs. Sanji jumps in the way and says, what are you doing, Zoro? You are not going to cause any damage to these women here in any way, shape, or form, because I'm Sanji. And Sanji challenges Zoro to a duel. Audibly, my wife was like, holy shit, Zoro versus Sanji's going to happen in this movie. I also lit up. I leaned forward in my seat and I was like, fucking Zoro versus Sanji's happening right now. And it's rare that you see people in the crew fight each other. And, Zoro is such a loyal member of the crew. I can't imagine him ever doing this in the canon unless he was being possessed. But I don't think Zoro was under any control by this demon blade like the rest of these Marines were. But Zoro's like, hey, I need these orbs. You need to get out of my way, Cook. And this is kind of before their feud really blew up in the series, if you ask me. Because they really didn't I don't know, it was weird. They did go at it, they fought, but it was very similar to the way they fought at Long Ring Long Land before they were in that little competition, that little soccer competition where Sanji put that ball on his head. Very similar to that fight, a little bit more in depth, but it wasn't long at all. Honestly, they could have went on for 5-10 more minutes. Just a Zoro-Sanji brawl. Zoro's throwing his blades, probably the back of his blades. He's trying not to hurt him. Sanji's coming in with the kicks. Zoro, Sanji's talking to him, and Zoro's like, maybe you should concentrate on the battle when you're fighting a swordsman, because if you don't, you already lost. And then he does a 3-blade technique, taking out Sanji. He hurts Sanji. I think Sanji was bleeding or bruised really bad. Sanji's like, damn him. He had hurt his arm or shoulder, which is the last thing Sanji wants. His hands are the most important thing of his, and maybe that's why Zoro did that. He's like, well, this will give him a shockerooski. So Zoro whips Sanji's ass. I mean, I did believe that Zoro was going to win, obviously, but I would have liked to see Sanji get some licks into Zoro, personally. Zoro leaves, he takes the jewels to the dude, Saga. What a name, easily remembered. He gives Saga the jewels, and I don't quite remember this, but my wife reminded me that Saga was like, alright, get rid of those jewels. Zoro dumps the jewels into this river cave system type thing. Gonzo. What a dumb move, if you ask me. If I was Saga, I would have kept the jewels or tried to destroy the jewels or buried them near me so I can keep an eye on them for a while. Because these jewels are very important. The jewels are supposed to be set on these 3 towers on the island to create a shield to stop the cursed demon blade from finally awakening. While it's in the sword, it's controlled. Yes, it's controlling the user, but once it's freed from the sword, it can completely 100% possess the user and become the user. The user somewhat has control up until that point, but he's manipulated by the evil cursed blade, and all he wants is to awaken it. I mean, one of the tribal natives is the Saga's like fiancée lady that's like part of his familia, and they were going to get married and whatnot, so he completely turned on her. He didn't kill her when he had the chance, so that shows us that Saga's still in there somewhere. But I mean, once the cursed blade completely takes over, he's not only going to be powerful, but he's going to be unhinged. There was a part of me midway through this movie thinking it'd be kind of sick to see this blade completely take over Zoro for a hot minute. You know, like, I know there is a point where Zoro picks up the blade and he sees all these evil images of his friend Saga doing bad things. I was thinking, oh shit, what if the curse passes on to Zoro because he's a better swordsman? And the curse is like, yeah, fuck this Saga guy. So this guy's way better. And then Zoro takes the blade, drops Kuina's blade, the white-handled sword, and puts it in his mouth. And he's got the 2 other swords he carries. Then he's running around with this cursed sword. That would have been sick. I mean, I don't believe we could ever see Zoro canonly go super psychopath, evil Majin Vegeta on the crew. But in a movie, in a non-canon movie like this, give me that Majin Zoro. That's the kind of shit I'd like to see in these non-canon movies. Give us stuff we'll never see in the actual story. Give us something like that. Could you imagine a juiced up, cursed Zoro who has zero control of himself? All the evil ambitions within his heart come out. Anything dark within him comes out. You know, very, you know, I'm just going to keep referencing this, Majin Vegeta-esque. He comes in and maybe Sanji's got to be the one to take him down. That would have been fun because maybe Zoro's just not as good when he's not in full control. Or Luffy, of course. It would have been a great time to redeem Luffy and Zoro's fight that happened in the canon during the Alabasta saga that was kind of pointless. This would make more sense. They could actually have a really long, drawn-out fight. Maybe Zoro does get taken down by his friend. That would have been interesting as well, because his friend, the curse would lift. None of that happens. Zoro puts the sword down. Zoro's not sure. He's conflicted. He's like, what do I do? My friend's crazy. And, oh, I forgot to mention this. His friend has an army of Marines. Not just the 3 that drew Zoro to Saga, but an army of no-name Marine swordsmen that are all possessed by this cursed blade. And I'm assuming the cursed blade only works on people who do have evil in their hearts. So maybe that's why this blade couldn't possess Zoro. Zoro had too much, what would you call it? He had too much ambition and drive to be the greatest swordsman, to be controlled by anybody. And I get that, and that's fair. I still would have preferred seeing Zoro as the main antagonist at the very end. That would have been sick. Come on, comment down below if you want to see evil Zoro in a movie. I do. I'd love to see Zoro just wipe the fucking floor with the Straw Hat crew, and then Luffy's like, what is going on here? Honestly, back when Zoro in this movie tries to take the orbs, Sanji steps in and just decides to fight him. If Luffy was there, I almost think because Luffy trusts his crew so much, especially Zoro, Luffy would have been like, no, let him take the orbs. I trust Zoro. Zoro's doing what he needs to do. Let him take the orbs. We'll figure this out, right? Don't worry, Zoro don't have to tell me what he's doing. I trust him. He's my right-hand man. Not Sanji, though. You know, they have a little conflict. But Zoro, maybe that was like Luffy wasn't there. Either way, Zoro does end up going into a duel with the little kid Marine that's also a swordsman that's there, who's the only real other antagonist in the movie who's kind of conflicted as well. And he's worried that the cursed blade is going to completely take over his mind, just like the rest of the Marines. He still has somewhat of a control, but soon he's going to lose it. He's going to become this evil, mindless zombie swordsman for the cursed swordsman, the 7-star blade. So he challenges Zoro to a duel, and he says, I would rather die by your hands than be completely manipulated by this evil blade. And they go at it. They're fighting. Zoro even compliments the kids like, not bad, kid. You're young, but you're good. But, you know, Zoro was going to win that fight. Zoro was just giving the kid, you know, opportunities to, you know, be badass, I guess. Zoro, the fight ends up being stopped by his friend Saga. Saga completely possesses this kid, the last thing this kid wanted. Zoro's like, what is going on, Saga? You are not the guy that I promised to help out, and I promised to, you know, my life to, and to help you with your quest here. Obviously, there's some evil afoot. What is happening? And they have a little bit of a tiff. They fight. Zoro loses this fight, mostly because he's conflicted about hurting his friend. Zoro's out. While this is happening, Luffy and Usopp finally join the crew again after their wacky adventures underground, which are honestly hilarious. They burst out of a geyser that they set off, and guess what Luffy found in this cave system, this wacky adventure? It actually tied into the story. He found the orbs that Saga decided to just say bye-bye. Should have kept them nearby, just saying. He finds the orbs and Luffy's like, guess what? Me and Usopp's wacky, pointless adventure meant something. And so Luffy and Usopp are like, yeah, we're not the worst. We're not the worst. We're geniuses. And even Chopper's like, yeah, they're geniuses. Wow. This is, pre-time skip Chopper, the much better Chopper in this movie. Eventually the crew gets together and like, okay, now we have the orbs. We can stop the curse from happening. They're going to place the orbs at these 3 towers, and it'll create a shield as long as the priestess lady, the fiance of Saga, goes and prays. So the crew splits up. Usopp and Robin go off in their group, and they get attacked by one of the Marines that's under control, and it's almost instantaneously. Usopp's like, I'll challenge you. I'm the brave warrior of the sea, Usopp, Captain Usopp. And then he goes and hides, and you're like, get him, Robin. Get him, Robin. And Robin goes, all right, dos flows, and just defeats them all very quickly, very easily, very underwhelmingly. I honestly would have loved to give even Robin a 5-minute, 10-minute battle with some of these really unique looking Marines that were in the beginning of the movie that end up just becoming fodder. Kind of pointless. They might as well all been mindless, pointless Marines. So Robin takes out a few. Nami and Chopper go off to put their orb in, and Chopper's there, and I'm thinking, oh shit, Chopper's gonna go into his muscle point where he's all buffed out, beefed out, but no, Chopper stays. I don't think Chopper transforms. Maybe one time he'll transform into Horn Point, and that's it, but he does not go into his jacked up form at all. His human point, whatever you want to call it. Either way, fucking Nami just kind of swings her stick around and beats some of these trained Marines. Sanji goes in and does his crazy, handstand trip, helicopter kicks. One of my favorite moves Sanji has personally. Knocking out a bunch of them. So I guess the injury he got from Zoro kind of healed up a bit. I was kind of hoping that out of all of the... Because I knew Zoro was going to fight the main villain again, hopefully. But I was kind of hoping that Sanji and Robin of the crew would get some 1v1s against some of these other people. I was kind of excited to see Sanji go toe-to-toe with that little swordsman kid that fought Zoro. That would have been fun. Sanji could have got a little bit of redemption, beating another swordsman, who even gave Zoro a little bit of a run for his money, but no. This is a solid Zoro movie, for sure, except for one part, because then Luffy's there. Luffy's finally in the story, the regular story, and he's gonna fight Saga toe-to-toe. He's gonna fight this swordsman. The swordsman's using the green emerald colored blade that's just glowing, and when it touches Luffy, he's like, ow, 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 ew, I want this off of me, ew, this curse, get it away from me. It was kind of funny. They're battling it out. Luffy gets defeated. Then this swordsman is like, no way, Jose, I'm not going down. But then Luffy comes in again. He's like, I'm not done. I'm just getting warmed up, buddy. Does some Gumu Gumu rocket, Gumu Gumu scythe, Gumu Gumu axe, Gumu Gumu everything you can imagine. Everything in his arsenal, Luffy's thrown at this guy. And he wins! Luffy wins against this dude, and the whole time they're trying to create this shield to block the red blood moon from activating the cursed blade. Sure. And like I said, if the guy just kept the orbs, this never would have been a problem. But it's too late. Even though Luffy hits the final blow, my head goes, wait a minute. I thought this was a Zoro-centric movie. This is weird. They do even show Zoro barely getting up, crawling to the battlefield, because he did lose earlier. And I was like, maybe Luffy is going to get this win. And the guy's sitting there, the blade turns into rust. And I'm like, oh shit. is the movie over? But then the blade goes inside Saga's chest, and you see this green sword-like image on his chesticles, and you're like, oh shit, he's about to be possessed, and he's at full power. No sword needed. He is the cursed blade. He is the 7-star sword, and him and Luffy are about to go at it again. That's when Zoro shows up and goes, Luffy, please let me do this. This is my fight. And Luffy, even though he enjoys the fights, and he's actually not too beat up at this point, Luffy stands there and goes, okay, Zoro, as your captain, I'm going to watch you do this. And I like that. Luffy's standing there watching from above. Zoro tosses Saga a blade. Zoro has his blade, and they have a straight-up sword duel. And they battle it out. And how does Zoro beat this curse? This curse that who knows how to defeat? He cuts Saga across the chest where the green image is coming from, and I guess it released the curse. I don't know. And his friend Saga survives. I think it would have been this much more impactful if Saga died. If Saga died in the arms of his fiancée and was just like, I'm sorry, I couldn't beat the curse. Or, maybe he lets Zoro cut him across the chest so he can die, dying with the demon sword curse 7-blade thing. That would have been more interesting to me, to see Zoro have to kill his friend after we know as fans that he has this traumatic past with his dying friend Kurina. You're thinking, oh shit, Zoro just killed his second friend, his other bestie. Even though it's not canon, if you want to keep it in your head, you're like, man, that's sad. Poor guy. He's had some shitty situations happen to him. But no, Saga survives. The curse is dead somehow, and then the crew leaves. Honestly, if I had to rank this movie among the One Piece movies I've seen, I would say it's one of my least favorite One Piece movies. But I don't mean it as a bad thing. I had a great time. I had a great adventure. It did feel almost filler-esque, like a really superb filler movie. I would even say that I prefer the G8 arc over this movie as a story. It had more time to develop, so it's unfair. But I think The Cursed Holy Sword is a solid One Piece movie. I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. It's above average. They do things to, give Zoro the spotlight. They even let Luffy look strong. I think what would have excelled this movie was either Zoro becoming cursed and becoming super evil and having to go toe-to-toe with Luffy, and Luffy having to take him down, or his friend having to stop the curse from happening, or some shit like that. That would have been kind of interesting to see. See evil Zoro would have been fun. Or you increase the time that the other crew members like Sanji and Robin and Usopp and Nami, their screen time should have been increased just a little bit. Just let them have some 1v1s. There was plenty of villains for the crew members to have some 1v1s. Or even 2v1s. Whatever. Give us something. Let Nami have a moment. Let Sanji have more of a moment than just getting his ass beat by Zoro. That's all I ask. That's it. I just want everybody to have a moment. That's my favorite thing about One Piece, is the entire crew at some point gets their moment, and it's impactful. But I didn't really feel that. I felt that this was really a Zoro movie, and that's what they advertised. It's about a sword. It's about his best friend. That's fine. I laughed. I had a good time. I watched the battles happen, and the fight with Luffy and Saga was very fun. The fight with Zoro and Saga was kind of too short for me. I think I would have wanted more bombastic, crazy, hand-drawn graphics, since it's such an older movie. Who knows? The movie actually looked fantastic. The art was beautiful. I would say that this movie, next to Dead End Adventure, looked way sharper, way more HD. Maybe it was because 2003, 2004 shit shifted over. Things changed in animation, in the animation world between that year. I don't know. But it looked beautiful on my big screen TV, I'll tell you what. And once again, I highly recommend you buy yourself this 3-pack. It's like $20. You're going to have to buy a region, an unlocked region DVD player to be able to play it, but it's worth it. 40 more bucks for one of those, and then you get not only to watch any DVD you want on the stupid fucking thing, but you get to watch these 3 movies anytime you want. Yeah, you could probably download them for free, but I like that I have a physical case to have with my collection behind me here. Just gonna set that right there. This is more Fanime. What do you think of One Piece, the Cursed Holy Sword? Comment down below. Let me know. What's your favorite One Piece movie? Don't forget to subscribe and like more Fanime. I'll talk to you later.
They gon' talk about legacies and like celery on the wind. We don't wanna be enemies. I go men with me, I go wings.
You gon' step in my ship, you gon' mess with the king.